Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
I'm your host today, Chris Santamassimo from OGC Solutions. The nice thing about being a podcast host is the chance to talk to friends and clients and let them describe why they're special and why we love being their attorneys and their outside general counsel. And today is no exception to that. I'm sitting here today with Nick Mitchell from Dancker. And Nick is the Vice President of Integrated Technology for their division called DBE Systems. Welcome to the podcast, Nick.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
It's a pleasure. The reason that besides the fact that you're a nice guy and you do really well at what you do, but one of the reasons that I wanted to introduce you and Dancker is, and I've always been impressed with the things that you do. In fact, we're a happy and proud customer, both on the furniture side as well as the integrated technology side, and everything that DBE does in that way, and you'll talk more about it, really helps us at our firm with our culture, maintaining connectivity among our people as well as our clients and our friends. And so I'd love for you to introduce Dancker and DBE and talk a little bit about, what you do there and in particular, why you joined Dancker.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So my background's actually in engineering. So I didn't start out looking for a sales role. Went to school for an electrical engineering degree and have been a sales engineer most of my career. I was actually at one of the largest technology integrators before coming to DBE Systems, which is, as you said, the integrated technology division of Dancker, one of the 4 business units that we have. And the reason why I made that change is because of Dancker's interiors integrator model. Generally coming into a design effort or a project for any of our clients, whether it's new construction, renovation, relocation, the technology integrator tends to come in a little too late in the process. And I mean, of course, there are design build opportunities, but a lot of times, there's, just coming in late, not really doing the full needs analysis or having a consultant design the solutions. And what happens then is it's a little bit harder for the technology integrator to really own that deliverable and understand what all the core needs were for that client. So making the shift to Dancker and coming over here to work within this model was one of the biggest changes. Obviously, Dancker is a nearly 200-year-old company, privately held, great culture. I think the average term for an employee is 12 or 13 years. So great people to work with. But the value that we can bring to our clients by coming in early and providing kind of that single hand to shake on the front end, we can provide specialty construction with demountable walls. We can provide integrated technology, obviously furniture, which is what Dancker is known for. And then we also have deploy, which is logistics and asset management. So tremendous amount of value that we can provide to our clients the earlier that we're brought in, whether we're working directly with our architecture and interior design partners, commercial real estate, or direct with a client.
Yeah, that's one of the things that has impressed me from the get-go with Dancker is they're really you are really customer-centric, and it's not about trying to sort of force a sale on a customer without knowing what they're looking for, what they want to be, what they want to achieve. But rather, as you said, being the trusted advisor that goes in early to do the planning. What does the company want to do and what do they want to be and what's the workplace culture going to look like? And then shaping solutions around those things rather than the opposite.
Exactly. Yeah. For every client or A&D partner that I meet with, we really start the discussion when we talk about our design to build, process and workflow. It all starts with the user experience. So at the center of everything that we talk about, it starts there and understanding the what, who, how, and why our clients do what they do. So, what are they doing on a day-to-day? How do they collaborate internally, externally? Who's going to be in those spaces and what type of spaces are they going to be in or intending to be in, and then why? What's the mission for that client? How do we align our solutions, our technology solutions to match where they're going and what they're trying to accomplish? And then from there, we can incorporate that and seamlessly integrate it with the furniture, with the architectural elements within the space. And as a interiors integrator, we're able to provide all that upfront as part of the design team. So we're really a valuable asset, not only to the architects, but also obviously an advocate for the client, what they need. And then our value add for any of our architects or new construction projects is we can provide that consolidated coordination set that contains all the elements for the project so that they can then execute and build that.
Yeah, that's super important, because some people I think minimize all of those elements in terms of their office planning. They think it's just fitting desks and chairs into a space, but it's way more than that for sure. And I also think that when some folks think about, workplace technology, all they think about are, monitors on the wall and maybe a Zoom room or a Teams room. But talk a little bit about some of the interesting things that have really come about in the last couple of years in terms of the technology that's available to really help people work more efficiently, work together in a more collaborative way.
Yeah, it's certainly changed, and not just within, like you said, the traditional audiovisual elements, displays, Teams room, et cetera. Really, from a conference room perspective, by looking at the ergonomics of the room, the table shape, and how people engage, and we create an equitable meeting experience for the people in room and on the remote end. So working with partners like Steelcase to make and provide tables that allow people to see everyone in the room, as well as provide a great experience for everyone that's remote, keep that connection, in the meeting spaces. And it really, I think, speaks to the change post-COVID and this new hybrid work, evolution that continues since then. Technology is changing really fast. The way we work's continuing to change. And when we think about the hybrid work, some companies are migrating to maybe 3 days in office, some even 5 days in office, obviously depending on what their roles are. But that technology to enable that connection is the key thing. The research shows that employees or associates like myself are happier when you have that face-to-face connection and you're not just stuck behind a display. So we're seeing a huge increase in our clients talking about how do we increase employee engagement? How do we bring people in the office? How do we ensure that they come in, leverage the systems, and are happy to be in the rooms that we're building for them? And it comes down to obviously making intuitive, very easy to use technology solutions that are familiar to what they've been using at home since post-COVID. So being able to walk in, leverage a system, not have downtime, all the basic things that you would expect at this point, but then adding in that layer of new technology. How do we frame everyone in the room so everyone can see each other and have that face-to-face, see the facial recognition or expression on the remote people's faces, or the people that are remote see everyone in the conference room. So again, create that meeting equity, and then add to that how fast, it's technology is changing exponentially every day. And so the way we work now and the way we collaborate, the way we interact, whether it's interactive whiteboards or other tools that leverage, artificial intelligence, those are going to continue to change. And we can't obviously see everything ahead of us, but we can plan for, hey, what do each of our clients do? How do they work today? What tools are they working on? And what may be coming from them to enable them to work more efficiently and really create value for their own company, rather than just sit in a room watching a PowerPoint slide deck.
Yeah, I mean, people are so distracted anymore. So if you don't engage them, that's a loss of productivity, loss of attention, loss of creativity, probably, I would say.
Definitely, yeah. And there's, some of our recent clients I've talked to, one of the, ideas or concepts they have is, hey, let's throw up these big video walls. Let's make a big town hall space so we can pull everyone in, have an in-person meeting. So those are good ideas, but you got to have a plan around it. How are you going to use those spaces when you don't have a town hall? How do you create a wow factor for your employees? with everything that's out there nowadays with LED video wall technologies, digital signage content, we can even take that to the next level with an employee engagement app where, thinking outside of a confines of a building, you can actually deliver messaging to a phone. Essentially everyone has a mobile phone. They can get their apps directly, all their messaging from their leadership directly to their phone, pop up, just like, any of the other social media apps. So just different ways to think about how we deliver content and then seamlessly integrate that into the space as well. So just thinking, really the technology's there now, but in a couple of years, you could walk into a space, your security camera could identify who is coming in within basically seconds. You could have an AI generate artwork or advertisement that could be on a video wall as people are walking by. So, maybe that's not necessarily applicable in the corporate environment, but in a retail or a space where you have clients coming in, you can produce that messaging, produce artwork. That type of technology is going to, I think, be prevalent in a lot of different locations moving forward. So that's all part of what we provide. It's not just conference rooms. We do a lot more than that, including security, network infrastructure, cabling, guest management systems, et cetera.
You've also got the ability to track not productivity, but rather use of conference space and use of the office digitally, right? So that, a landlord maybe, or even a tenant can track, how often are people in the office, not to be looking over their shoulder, but rather just to see, what's working and what's not.
Yeah, it's definitely typically a discussion, whether it's with human resources or a people team, your IT team, being able to put devices in that can track occupancy, length of time that the people are in the room, how many meetings are conference room books are ghosted, et cetera, so that we can take that data and help deliver that to our clients in a more consumable way so they can make better decisions about their next move or how they lay out their floor plan and provide that insight based on what technology is in there. So we can see, maybe room type A isn't really being used that much, room type B is, and we'll look into why. It could be the technology, obviously the technology complement, the type of system it is, et cetera. And the other thing for meeting capacity is, an easy example is if pre-COVID, you used to have probably more larger conference rooms and you'd have, maybe one or two people in there when the room could seat 8 to 10. So now you're taking up a large meeting room for a very small room. So that kind of informed our clients that, hey, our teams want more smaller kind of huddle rooms. Post-COVID, a lot of the floor plans that we were seeing being designed were many more hotel workstations, hoteling offices, private offices, really only large enough for one person. And recently we had a panel discussion at one of our company events, and we heard from some of the leaders in the local area about their businesses. And then the number one message was, hey, we really need more 2 to 3 person rooms, because no one wants to take those calls just from their desk, like a hotel desk in the open. They want to be able to go into a private room. They want to be able to collaborate with 1 or 2 more people in those rooms. And that's also informed us on private offices that are assigned, as folks are coming back in the office and this hybrid work, whether it's 3 days in, et cetera. We've redesigned our, office furniture layout so that a workstation could double as a small huddle room by rotating the display ultra wide, whatever it is, with the camera. You could have a couple more people come into your room and now you have a huddle room, when you need it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, to have the flexibility based on real data rather than just general observations is really powerful, I think. So what are some of the, you mentioned a couple of things like digital whiteboards and Teams rooms, but any exciting technology that you've seen recently that you think, would be interesting to some of the listeners to think about for their own conference spaces or their own office environments?
Yeah. When it comes to the conference rooms, those are, I'd say, probably the bread and butter, just standard conference rooms. some of the things that we are able to do to enhance that user experience is to add these collaborative tools. So whether it's the digital whiteboard, so that you're not losing anything that you're, writing in the space, but also leveraging things like Microsoft Front Row for Teams meetings. So you're able to see the chat that's going, you're able to see the hands go up. You have a more collaborative experience. That's just one way. We're really simplifying how those rooms operate for our clients, working with Microsoft, working with companies like Steelcase, and it's really the holistic solution. So it's no longer just about the pure technology. When it comes to the new and exciting just technology solutions that are out there, one of the things that we've been talking with many clients about is storytelling. How do they tell their story, the history of their company, what their mission is when they bring folks into their office place or their workplace. And one of the things we do is different idea walls, interactive displays for viewing content at their leisure. There's also other technology. Display technology is really probably the wow factor that people think of when they walk into a space, whether it's transparent OLED displays or it's large video walls. We use mosaic walls as well, so you can have one image that goes across multiple displays in different configurations. By incorporating this, either the cameras or the sensor technology, we're able to dynamically change that content. So right now we're not automatically generating it, but we're able to plan for changes in the content in those types of situations and really create an immersive experience for someone walking through that space. So that's kind of some of the, I guess it's not only a trend, but also incorporates a lot of the latest and greatest in technology. But right now, I would say the big focus is on content. So when you're planning on client engagement, employee engagement, it's really about the content, how you're leveraging existing or new content and delivering that in the space and to your intended audience. And that's really what makes the most impact.
Yeah, and what's interesting about what you're describing today is how it's really reflective of what employees are looking for. Again, to your point, how do you get them back to the office and how do you keep them engaged? Post COVID, a lot of tenants were immediately thinking, well, if we're going to be in a hybrid environment, we need less space and we're going to save a bunch of money. And that might be true in some cases, but the planning aspect that you're talking about really should take place before you decide, am I going to move? Am I going to cut my space or am I going to expand? Because, a new configuration of the work environment might be the solution where you're providing more in the same space or even greater sometimes. And then you're going to get more for your money in a sense, rather than just trying to cut costs.
Exactly. And that really brings in full circle the full interiors integrator model. And when we're working with clients to identify, hey, their lease is up in 2 years, or, really this technology is really outdated. What's the plan to refresh? How do we refresh the whole workplace? And then we start looking at, well, what can we offer from Dancker? And so from the deploy business unit, which handles all our logistics and asset management, they can actually identify, all right, well, they can work with the client and determine, well, what needs to go, what needs to be sustainably decommissioned, what should be stored, asset tags stored in our warehouse for later reuse or use at another facility. Meanwhile, on the new construction or the renovation side of things, we can start with our for-build team that does all of our specialty construction, casework, to really build a facility or a workspace that is more flexible. And it's not like you're going to be moving walls every few years, but by using specialty construction that's manufactured and delivered to site rather than your traditional drywall, spackle, paint, all that, you're saving so much on dust. You're also saving on, obviously the dust and the cleanup and the exposure for the people that are doing the work, but you're also saving on the schedule and being able to, while the existing facility is maybe getting decommissioned, we're manufacturing those walls, those elements, those can be delivered and put in. And if technology changes, panels within that structure can be removed and replaced to support maybe a different display, different technology, different power connections, et cetera. So it's a little bit more efficient long term where you can make changes. All meanwhile, we're coordinating as a team. So we're having the discussion about what is that client going to be doing in that space? What technology do they need? How do we integrate it into the walls? And then obviously what furniture supports that so that you don't have the silly, well, the furniture dealer was put this table box in there for these cables. The audiovisual technology integrator was supposed to do that. What about the electrician that was supposed to put the floor box in? None of these coordination items exist when you have one hand to shake throughout that process that really identify where all the demarcations are and the dependencies and responsibilities lie.
Yeah, it's amazing how it all comes together with a really thoughtful approach. And I think I can just speak for us for sure. And this is a public service announcement for Dancker. I mean, we're not your biggest customer by far, and the same thought process and the same thoughtfulness really went into helping us plan our office and the technology. So it really comes together in an amazing combination. So I can speak from experience, and just the flexibility too, and the ability to pivot and respond to what clients' needs. Those are some of the things that I think really speak about Dancker as a company, both internally and externally. So you guys are doing a fantastic job for really sophisticated clients. Again, not we're relatively small, but some big name companies that have complex needs and complex demands for sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and it's tribute to Dancker's dedication and client satisfaction, making sure that we stay current and evolve with our clients' needs. And Dancker's shown that, at least the last 25, 30 years that they have continued to show progress and evolution and understand how we can best support our clients. And that's why we have, clients with 10, 20, 30-year relationships, and why people come to Dancker and why people stay at Dancker. It's a great place to be, and I'm certainly glad that I joined the team.
That's a great way to end the program today for sure. You're definitely an excellent spokesperson for Dancker, and hopefully people that listen to the podcast will take a look. What's the best way to get in touch with you and the Dancker team, Nick?
Sure. Best way to touch base with me would be either via email or LinkedIn. My email is nmitchell@dbesystems.com, and I'm on LinkedIn. So Nick Mitchell, and I'd be happy to connect and discuss anything from integrated technology to Dancker's capabilities to anyone's client, anyone's needs.
Fantastic. And I'd encourage folks that hear the podcast to reach out for sure. Nick, thanks for a great conversation today. We covered a lot of ground, and again, great spokesperson for Dancker and DBE Systems.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's terrific. So just to close it out, this has been Nick Mitchell, the Vice President of Integrated Technology for DBE Systems, which is powered by Dancker. If you're going to check out the website, it's Dancker, is DANCKER.com. And this has been Chris Santamassimo from OGC Solutions, hosting the Think Factory podcast. We'll see you next time.